integration. How do we put everything together to make sure every part is held properly? So that's integration management. The plans that we have, we need to put all of them together as a mother plan called the project management plan. We need an artifact that could help us understand the project from start to finish. That's the project charter. So you think about how we could raise documents to piece everything together into a cohesive whole. That's integration management. That will give you 10 knowledge areas, okay? 10 knowledge areas. You don't need to memorize this, okay? If you remember the 7 and understand how projects are run, you should be good to go. Great. Now, the task here is to understand the processes under every knowledge area and the processes under process groups. So you see the process groups are here. Initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, controlling, closing. Now, this is how it's been arranged. If you could track it from the knowledge area point of view, so if I pick it from the knowledge area angle, these are the processes under the knowledge area. Now, we don't expect you to memorize these ones. Back in the day, when I wrote my PMP exam, we had to memorize this. Now, the good news is you don't need to memorize it again now. You need to understand it. Okay, if you understand, that's good. But we had to memorize it, know the tools and techniques, what goes in, what comes out, input, output. But now they moved away from that. It's not a process-based approach, it's principle-based approach now. So I will explain it. Understanding will be good for you. So I want you to understand it. If you pick integration management, there are some processes that we go through to make sure there's this uniformity and there's this coordination. One process is a charter, developing a project charter. And remember, it happens at the early part of the project, so initiation. So it becomes part of the initiation process group, okay? So at the early part of the project, what do? We need to develop a project charter. It's part of integration management. So integration management, what do? We develop the project charter. Now, the project charter is an important artifact. Remember, I said that artifacts are the things we create. So what do you create? The documents, the plans, the product, deliverables. These are artifacts. One artifact is a project charter, and we create it at the early part of the project, initiation part of the project. Now, this project artifact called the charter is what is helping us understand the project from start to finish. So when I get into that document, it gives me understanding of the project, high level. For example, I talked about a report from your boss. Your boss will try to explain what he needs from you, high level, the type of report you have to do, who we are sending the report to, will give you high level information. This is like the charter being given to you. If you are lucky, you could have this one in a document. You could put this on an A4 sheet for you. That becomes a charter, that small scale level for you. If it's a big project, we would take our time and capture a detailed project charter. So talk about why we are doing the project. So justifications, objectives of the project, what could be the success criteria of the project, what could be used to measure project success, what could be the initial requirements, what are the initial requirements. All these ones will be in the chart. How much are we looking at? Don't forget this, you can't bank your hopes on this because it's high level. So we think about how much will this one cost. For example, if you want to buy a bus, what will come to you readily? How much is the bus? So high level. So you might want to talk to somebody. You pick a phone and speak to somebody. I want to buy a bus, but what do you think? I think you bought a bus 2 years ago. How much was it? High level. It doesn't mean when you buy it, your bus, it will be that same price. But you want to have understanding. What is the range? How much does it take? How much time does it take to get it? If you order, how much time does it take to get it? High level. What are the major features? You get high level. What could go wrong if we buy a bus? So you could speak to somebody, an expert, to give you some ideas. What happens if I want to buy a bus, and use it for commercial purposes? But what could be the risk? And one risk that will come to your mind readily is accident, isn't it? So the things that comes to you readily at that time, you put them in a charter, but there's a checklist you use. Okay, there's a checklist for developing a proper charter. These days, in the age of AI, these things you don't need to struggle that much. If you want to develop a charter, you could ask AI to give you a guideline. But remember, you are smarter than AI. So what AI gives you might not be final. You need to still look at it and make sure it suits what you want to do. All right. Great. So that is a charter. Another thing you need to, I hope you are making notes. Another thing you need to know about, lots of questions come from this area. Another thing you need to know about the charter is this. It gives the project manager authority. It gives you mandate. It gives you the power to go ahead with the project. So you'll be asked that question. You are likely to see that question in the PMP exam. Without the project charter, the project manager does not have mandate. He can't go ahead with the project. I know there are a lot of projects without project charters. So that will give you the authorization for high performing organizations, for big project. You see, not likely, you see a charter authorizing the project, stating the project manager, stating the sponsors, stating the stakeholders, stating the major deliverables, initial requirements involved in the project. It gives you high level understanding of the project. So when this is handed to you, and write this one down, the project manager doesn't write the charter. PMIism. The project manager doesn't write the charter. Somebody above him writes the charter. So who can write the charter? Who is above the project manager? There could be a senior executive in the organization. They can write the charter. The sponsor is above the project manager. He can write the charter. So we call these people project initiators. They will write the charter and hand it to the project manager. But I've seen project where the project charter was given to the project manager to write. But in real life or in proper practice, that should not be the case because we assume that there's a sponsor who understands what they want to do. They put together a high level document called the charter and they give it to somebody to handle that endeavor. And that's the project manager. So they sign it and give it to the project manager to give him authority. Now you have go ahead. This is how much we are giving you. Funds are ready, are available. You could go ahead with the project. So it should come from somebody above them. Well, how can you give yourself authority? So if the project manager writes it and signs it, it means he has given himself authority. It doesn't work like that. Somebody above him gives him authority. So even when they ask the project manager to help in writing, putting together the charter, he can't sign it. Once it's done, somebody above him will go through, check it off, and sign it off and give it to the project manager, and that gives him authority. So it's one way of authorizing a project charter. In the UK, we use a document called the PID, project initiation document, to authorize a project. Okay, to authorize a project. But we also use a charter. PMP, PMI, we use the charter to authorize a project. Okay. All right, great. So that is something you need to know about the charter. There are questions on the charter. That's how come I took time to talk about it. What does it do? It gives you high level understanding of the project. What does it do? It gives the project manager mandate. It's used to authorize a project. Is written by somebody above the project manager. So it could be a senior executive. It's not written by the project manager. We know the key components in there. These are some of the things that we need to know. It authorizes the work for you. So it gives you mandate to apply resources to your project activities. It gives you
Sir,
mandate to go ahead with the project. Yes. And what is the first thing that he should do? One of them is basically getting the charter. For you to understand or get understanding of the work, you take the charter. And in some organizations, the charter would be written by the sponsor or somebody above the project manager, even without the involvement of the project manager. So when you walk in, the charter is fait accompli, it's done. So they hand the charter to you, and you will take your time to go through to understand exactly what you have to do. High level, it's not detailed. They are telling you the project summary budget is about $1 million. But it's your job to take your time and break the work down to check whether the 1 million stated in the charter would be enough for the project. And that takes you to planning. So you take your time and plan your cost well. They are telling you in the charter summary duration, high level. We want to use 4 years to do this job. Stated in there. It's your job to take your time to go through the activities to check whether the duration stated in the charter will be enough. If not, you go back to them. You go back to them. So you will be doing the detailed work, but they will give you high level information, and that is the charter. Are we good, sir?
yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we know what it does, and I've basically pointed out areas you are likely to have questions on so far as the charter, project charter is concerned. So please, let's take note. I hope you jotted these ones down. Once we have the charter, we go to planning. We develop a high level. So at the integration level, we need a bigger. So integration, what you observe here is every process here touches every part of the project. So if I have this develop project charter, it's looking at the key parts of the project. We talked about budget, we talked about scope, initial requirement, we talked about the risk, stakeholders. It's looking at every part of the budget. Now, if I go to another process under integration management, under planning process group, we need a plan, a mother plan. We said that integration is where we put everything together. So we need a mother plan that will hold all the plans that we generate. Remember, the plans are artifacts. So it's our task, once we understand the charter, to create subsidiary management plans. When it comes to scope management, we need to have a plan. When it comes to risk management, we need to have a plan. When it comes to schedule, we need to have a plan to give us the approach. So schedule management, how do we go about it? Communications management, how are we going about it? We need to have a plan to tell us exactly what we do. Now, when we have all these plans, don't forget, even in changes, we need to have a plan called the change management plan, or call it a change control plan. You need to have a plan that will tell us how change control should be done. How do we administer changes? What is the process? How do we go about it? How do we set up the CCB? Who should be part of the CCB? How do they make decisions? All these ones will be stated in the change control plan or change management plan. So when we have all these plans created, we will put them into together to have one plan called the project management plan, PMP. All right. And even the project management plan holds other information. It will even talk about the life cycle, project life cycle. We'll talk about the life of the project, how it will dance through the whole journey. So what are the key stages in there? That's the life cycle of the project. Okay. What could be the key stages, key points in the project? It will dictate the life cycle of the project. That is also stated in the project management plan. And also talk about the development approach. How are we going to develop our deliverables? What approach are we going to use? Is it predictive? Is it iterative? Are we going to do it incrementally? We'll talk about this one more. All these ones will be stated in the plan. And we also have the baselines. So when we go through scope, we need to baseline it. So we know exactly what we are doing. This is what we are doing, and this is what that we're not doing. You need to state it clearly. So we need to have a baseline, scope baseline, to tell us what we are doing and what we are not doing. Inclusions and exclusions. So the party, this is not included. The party, we are not inviting old school friends stated in there, because you're likely to invite, when you're having a party for your dad, you're likely to invite your dad's old school or old friends. But it's stated in there, this is something that we are not doing. So it should be part of your scope baseline so that you know exactly what you are doing and what you are not doing. Okay. So the baseline, when it comes to the cost, what is the baseline? This is how much you are spending, the baseline. When it comes to schedule, what is the baseline? So all these ones are stated in the project management plan. Then we go to the next thing under execution. This is where we do the work. So we look at a process called the direct and manage project work. This is where all the work is done. Okay, so take note. You could have a question on that. What process will capture where all the work is done, or capture how all the work is done? Okay, is the direct and manage project work. This is where all the work is done. So all the work that we stated in the activities, everything we have to perform will be done here. Direct and manage project work. So it's talking about all the work. Remember, I said every process under integration management seeks to touch every part of the project. So direct and manage project work is touching every part of the project. Okay, it's showing us the work that we have to do, all the work. Now we come to manage project knowledge. This is a newbie. It's something that was added quite recently. Historically, we had 47 processes. Two of them are that one of them is the managed project knowledge. Now we start thinking, what about knowledge in the project? How do we manage it? So with the knowledge, we have explicit knowledge, we have tacit knowledge. Knowledge that can be easily expressed, we call it explicit. So the machines, this I could give you procedure, how it is done. That is explicit knowledge. But they are beliefs, they are skills, experience. So these ones are very difficult to express. How do we still get people to learn these skills? So we find a way to manage knowledge on the project. What about the lessons that we learn? The information that generate, the lessons that we learn on the project, how do we manage them? Stage one, there were lessons. How do we document these ones? How do we make them blessings, not curses? How do we ensure that the lessons that we learn come back to improve, help us improve? We made a mistake in stage one. We don't want to repeat those mistakes. So we want to document it and review it and see how we could use the lessons that we learned to improve in our subsequent processes. It's handled here. So we raise a document called Lessons Learned Register. Okay, Lessons Learned Register will be raised here to help us manage our lessons and use them to improve. Then we get to monitoring. This is where all the monitoring is done. So the project manager will do all the monitoring here. But don't forget, there are monitoring and controlling happening in other specific knowledge areas. But all of them put together will be done here. Monitor and control project work. So the project manager will look at how everything is happening. So you monitor basically everything. Okay, whatever was stated in the plan, you check how it's being done and check how they are tracking to the plan. If there are changes, you check whether these changes are effective and they are relevant and they have been done, they have been documented. You check all these ones, it will be done here. Okay, and you work together with the perform integrated change control where you focus more on changes. Remember, I talked about the CCB. If it's one person, there's one person who manages changes. You can't do or effect a change without, yes, Cobbler, let me learn quickly, then you come in. You can't effect a change without going through the change coordinator or the CCB. And we use the perform integrated change control. It's done at the integration level. Why? Because it's touching every part of the project. Every change in the project will be done here, will be controlled here. Then we close the project. If it's being rolled out in phases, we will close every phase. There are some projects rolled out in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Okay, especially if it's that big. So once phase 1 is done, we close it and learn our lessons. Then we do a review and check whether it is still viable. Does it still make sense to carry on with the project? If it does, we carry on. If it doesn't make sense, we could kill the project. All right. So we manage these ones as we go. And when the entire project is done, we close it. So it is done here. And how we close a project, we need to understand. It doesn't mean finish the last deliverable and walk away. You need to basically update all your records. So the party is done. We wouldn't say the last activity is done. So the party closed. We need to take our time and learn our lessons. If we were to have another party next year, what can we do to improve? How do we improve? What can we do better? We need to know this. What went wrong? If we were to handle another similar project next year, how much are we looking at? Now we've done it, so we have an idea of how much it will cost. So we update all our records nicely. Lessons learned, we prepare a small handing over report, we disband the team, we check whether the objectives were achieved. You review all these ones, you learn your lessons, and you close it properly. And you add your information, whatever you gather, the lessons, the documents we raise, we put them in our repositories, in our historical records to help us improve. Whenever we're doing something similar, we could fall on those lessons, those reports, those records to help us do a better job. Okay, so integration is helping us run through entire projects. We'll take a break.